think probably the real reason that we had Karen and Dave in here today was for them to kind of share some of their experiences implementing real world problems into the classroom. Karen, we were hoping you could just sort of illuminate both HHMI and also connect that to some of the ways that it can provide real world experiences and problem solving for your students.
Okay, HHMI is the Howard Hughes Medical Institute, and they have an educational branch called Biointeractive. And at biointeractive.org, they make educational materials. What they do is they bring these scientists in who meet with teachers and then start developing resources for the classroom. And HHMI does real research and brings in real scenarios of things that are going on. How did they figure out about sickle cell anemia? And who is it affecting now? And then why is it that you can't digest lactose? And all of these real world situations, and we develop explanations, and then we also look at problems.
So I want to pick up with this narrative thread that we have going here, and I'm so excited to hear about that, Karen, with your program, because some really exciting research, and I don't mean to go too tangential, but about the power of narratives for student resiliency and how students just do overall, and just people in general. Is what kind of narratives are they telling about their life? So I've always had them presenting in a symposium where, the default is Google Slides. And, it's what we use a lot, but I was getting frustrated a little bit. It's like, what else could we do? But it seems like we've hit on something with this podcasting because of the narrative piece. And they ended up pulling in guest speakers like Karen to talk about the climate, or like the heads of local nonprofits, and they got to tell stories. And to me, that was a really compelling way to pull together their work.
I had a great time. I got to hear a lot of the podcasts after they recorded. They did a really nice job, and they really embraced the power of narrative. And like it or not, one of the biggest selling points about podcasts are that's a legacy. That's something that you're leaving behind. That's a digital footprint that's going to be there. Really, podcast has that capability.
I think it also kind of circles back around to sort of how we started this whole segment, which is real world problems. Now, if you have a class project where the students have to make a podcast, they're not necessarily solving a problem as they do that. However, they know it's real. They know it's authentic. They know they're producing something, like you just said, guys, that leaves a legacy behind in the buy-in, the engagement, because they know that they're actually producing something that lives on forever. It just makes it all so much more powerful and meaningful.
Karen, you were asked to come in and be a part of one of the podcasts.
Yeah.
What was your take on that? What was your experience like? And were you interested in the fact that students came up to you and asked you to be their expert?
Yeah, I was kind of surprised and thinking, I'm really not an expert on this, but I can talk about a lot of stuff. So I was pleasantly surprised, and the kids were well organized and they knew what they wanted to do. There was a plan and there was a direction and a point of view.
I think that is what we want out of a podcast. I think that project is probably one of my favorites within the school year, just because it's something that Dave and I have been talking about doing for a long, long time. And I think it really, with some of the teachers that heard about it, it's really generating some interest.